Come on, baby, light my fire. So the fire whistle blew a little bit ago. And for those of you who might not have them around your area anymore, I'm not talking about the sirens on a fire truck. I'm talking about the big siren that sits up on top of a firehouse or maybe another public building. And they blow that to let people know there's a fire and for the firemen to report to the fire hall because, of course, we just have volunteer firemen around here, so you don't always have a crew on hand. But I was wondering, why do we still have fire sirens? You know, first of all, years ago when I was still in the fire company, pretty much all the active firefighters had pagers. In fact, the company issued them. And now, even if you don't have the pager that picks up the signal for that, you can download an app on your phone to get it. So, but the only thing that big old siren is good for is making dogs bark and scare people and wake them up in the middle of the night. So I'm just wondering why we still do it. And it got me thinking about how they used to do it around here. When I first joined the fire company, the system they had at the time, there was a guy up at the top of town, Bob Kaufer. I don't have any problem using his name. I'm sure nobody will be offended. And he was a good guy. But he was partially paralyzed from polio. And so he was home, most of the time. He was available. So used to be he'd get the report by radio when people would call it in. And he would then telephone down to Heath's funeral home because Heath's was another 24-hour place. There was always somebody there. And the funeral home, there's a closet that had a button in it, and they'd push it, and they then rang the siren to alert everybody. And a little side note, my mother worked for Heath's for a number of years, and one day she was dusting, and she was dusting out that little cabinet or whatever it was, and she kept, all over town, people hearing, just the siren starting a little bit. My mother had no idea that she was dusting. She was just tapping that button. Luckily, at the time, they didn't have it set up like now. I don't know if they even still have an emergency button on the side of the fire hall or not, but on the old fire hall, they had one, and if you hit it, it would do a full cycle. So my mother would have really got people excited. Anyway, so Bob would call down to to Heath's and tell them. Heath's would blow the whistle. Firemen would come down. Heath's called the fire hall, and first fireman in would grab the phone, and they'd say, "You got a structure fire at 2112 Kate Street," or whatever. And the fireman, as the fireman came in, and be like, we got a structure, and everybody put their gear on and go. And one of the things about that is, there's a couple of times I was the first one in, and you'd run in there, and the phone would be ringing, and you expect it to be Heath's calling to tell you where the fire is. And instead, you'd go, fire hall. And some joker would go, where's the fire at? And now I always remain polite about that. I go, well, we can't know because idiots are tying up the phone line. And hang up so Heath could call us. But anyway, that's the way it used to be. I'm not sure what they did before that to alert people. But I just wonder, why do we still need that whistle blowing? Somebody explain that to me. It seems like it's obsolete. I mean, I wouldn't get rid of that whistle because it could come in handy, to really alert people if there's a real thing that everybody in town has to know about, you know, flood, tornado, whatever. If people heard that siren, then they'd know to check their phones and their TVs or whatever for alerts. But otherwise, hey, why are you bothering us with the... That's all I got to say about that. Peace out, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.